Okay. Hi Sue, thank you for agreeing to do this interview today. I just wondered if you could introduce yourself to us.
I'm Sue Williamson and I'm the director of Tang Smart.
What is Tang Smart?
It stands for Sound, Music, Art, Recreation and Technology. It's a social enterprise based in the Burnham Community Hub, and we offer music clubs, electronic clubs and music industry training.
Fantastic, sounds fascinating. Where did the idea come from?
There's lots of strands to this. The first part of that was when Burnham Community College shut, I had to find something else to do. I didn't want to remain in the public sector, so there was like a push factor. Then it was a case of thinking about what I actually could do well and also what I wanted to do. They're not necessarily the same, so I was looking at my desires but also my assets. Then it was a case of doing an audit of my husband's skills and what he wanted to do as well. And then once I'd thought about that and got this kind of rough idea of doing something involving music and something involving the community, then it was a case of looking at that community, and it was a case of thinking what's needed, where might there be a niche, where could there be some viable funding stream for me. And then it was a case of thinking a bit more philosophically, what do I really want to do with my life? I've got to a certain stage in my life where I can afford to think, right, I've got 20 years teaching behind me and other work experience as well. What do I want to do for the next years, the next decade, 15 years? And what I wanted to do was to do something about the fact that so many young people, and just people generally, drop out of education and out of society when those people had so much potential. And I'd seen it over the years working as a teacher, and that was the one thing that I retained in my head as more important than anything else. I wanted to do something about that if I could, because that had always bugged me, that someone could do so well at school, get really good GCSEs, go on and study A-levels, and then drop out of that academic pathway, and in some cases end up taking a really negative pathway. So I wanted to do something that was putting back to the community, helping that community in a small way, because we're only a small provider, but do something that was providing a place for people to do things, to become more, to do more. That was my real philosophical idea behind it.
Brilliant. You mentioned activities and the sorts of things you put on. What have you got on at the moment?
Well, there's 8 different clubs that we run on an evening, and with all different age groups. So we might have an adult rock school on one evening, there might be a couple of junior clubs on another evening, or a teenage club. Most of them are music based, but there are some electronics ones as well. So that's our evenings. And then in the daytime we do music industry training. So 2 different strands really, with different audiences that we're aiming for. One's a community audience, that's more for the after school and evening. The daytime is different people. It might be local schools, it could be other local providers.
Fantastic. Got lots going on then, so why do you think it's working?
I think it's working because one, the community links were already there, because I taught in this place for 20 years plus. So the roots went down very deep. So that's actually probably a small percentage of the amount of people that live in York I've taught at some point or other. So the links were there. And there really is a need in this place. There's been an erosion of services, the cuts that everyone is suffering from, but I think the Tang Hall area was always an area that was perhaps a bit more fragmented than some areas. So it's working because there's a need, it's working because we're really, really cheap. And I've had that in mind, what people can actually afford. And there's ways of people being able to attend our clubs if they can't afford. For instance, they might do some work in kind. And I've also got donations from businesses that have helped me to offer subsidies. So we're working because we're cheap, we're working because we're offering something that isn't there otherwise. And we're actually really good. So the service is excellent. It's a really good, fun experience of popular music in a very hands-on way.
You mentioned about where you wanted to be yourself and what you wanted to be doing in the sort of short, medium term. How do you see the future for Tang Smart?
I think what I'd like to do is to build up the industry training side, because this is to do with vocation and people's pathways, and really reach out to people in the community that are traditionally seen as the hardest to reach of people. So for instance, we have something on Friday, it's a launch day, which is why I'm not with you. And this is something where we've just gone out on a limb, done it on our own, and it's setting up music industry training for people, it's a level 1 course. So this course allows people to do music industry training for free. I've been targeting like the homeless centres and mental health providers, and my idea is that there'll be places for people that are in the community that are unemployed, but then there'll be people there that really need it. And that's part of my mission for the future. We started off at the beginning working with whoever came through the door. We're pretty much full. Our clubs are full to bursting, and I now have to think about how I could possibly increase our capacity to deliver for the evening. But in terms of the daytime, in a way I've got the luxury of thinking, because I've got the space here, what and who do I want to reach, what am I going to give them, and then think of creative ways of going out and reaching these people. They didn't exist as a market before, and my idea was to engage this market through a project which the big local helped us out with. They funded that, the engagement project, and the idea was to recruit people in the community, to befriend people, to actually help people make that step, get out of their bed, get out of their house, and come and join us on Friday and join our event. And I've been really lucky because I've had people donating their time and services, like Critical, who's a really good rapper and who works with Inspired Youth. He's going to be performing for us on Friday. I've got other performers, free workshops. So this is the idea. It's part of the vision to actually persuade people they want to do this. And they want to do it because they're going to enjoy it, but it's more than that, because it's going to embed musicianship as part of their identity. They're going to perhaps have a meaning, a purpose in their life that wasn't there before, and that is my vision for the future in terms of philosophically where we're going. But in terms of where we're going to be in terms of a social enterprise, my vision is that in 10 years' time, there won't be much of a need for me, because I'd managed to erase my role, my hands-on, kind of very full-on role, so that there'll be a whole team of people that would have been enabled, equipped to work in the way that I'm working now. And I can just manage in the background, or not even that. And other people will take up that custodian role and carry on with the social enterprise that we've set up. That's my vision.
So your enthusiasm and passion is infectious. And sounds really exciting what you've been doing. What is the one thing that you would say to others that are thinking of embarking on a similar journey?
One thing, right, two things. Right, two things. Right, one is the money is really important. 2 + 2, it always equals 4. If you haven't got the money for it, then really don't do it. If somebody wants your services or your product and they can't afford it, there's ways of paying in kind. For instance, they can give you free promotion on Facebook. So first, don't do anything for nothing. Keep your eye on the money. I'd avoid loans like crazy. We have. My second piece of advice is, although you're stinting on the money and you're not making any costly purchases, you do not stint on your vision, and you certainly don't stint on the activity and the energy that you put into implementing what you feel that there's a need for. So in my case, I looked around and thought, there's no one doing what I'm doing, so what do I care about other people's approval and comparisons, because there's nothing to compare it with. You just go out and do it, and if the cavalry aren't there, it doesn't matter. If you've got something good you want to do and you know it's going to work, providing it's not going to cost you personally, and you keep your shirt on your back, then go on and do it. You only get one life.
That's fantastic, and I'm sure that we'll be wishing you well at our event on Friday as well. So thank you very much for the interview. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you, Maud.